Hey Stampers! Today we're going to play around with making this beautiful little card. It's not a really hard card to make and I really like it. One of the fun things I like about it is I love the spinny cards. They're fun to play with. It gives another dynamic to the cards that you give out. You can like, throw it back and forth and wave it, and then you have an airplane that's doing aeronautics. Or aerobics, I think it's called. Anyway, it's a fun little card. And we're going to do that today. I'll show you, I'll go through it step by step. This is using the Sky is the Limit stamp set from the Stampin' Up! Bration catalog. Now, this is one of the stamp sets that Stampin' Up! Has introduced in this new catalog that's a limited edition. It's a limited time offer for this one. You can only get this for free, which is always nice. Everybody likes free stuff, so order some supplies and you can get this along with it. It's on page 16 of our Celebration catalog, and this one is available until I think February 5th or 15th. I'll double check on that and I'll update it on my blog. Okay, so we're going to be using that stamp set, which I got it in wood because it didn't cost me. It was free, so I went all out for it. And I'm playing around with different camera orientations and camera types and methods for doing the videos. So hopefully this will work out a little bit better sound and quality wise, and my biggest trick will be not getting my head in the way. To make the cloud for the masking, I used the Tree Builder Punch from our annual catalog. That's on page 167. Again, all the dimensions, all the supplies that you need to make this will be linked to in the catalog. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab out the airplane because I like that. And this one I did the Sky is the Limit. For the next one, let's do You Send Me Soaring. There's some really nice sentiment in this stamp set. I really like it. Okay, so we'll do You Send Me Soaring. I can't talk today. Woohoo! So I'm using Memento black ink. You could also use our black archival ink that's new. This is just the first one that I grabbed. So I ink that up really good. You can probably hear all the noises I'm making. And try to keep my big head out of everybody's way while I do this. So stamp that there. There. Okay, and I'll close that for now. Okay, now what I did for the plane to create the effect that I did with that is I fussy cut it using my wonderful Stampin' Up! Paper snips. Okay, but it takes a little bit and I didn't want to bore everybody's socks off, so I stamped and snipped one for the card that we're going to be making. So I'll set that aside, and using the same scrap of paper, I take the Tree Builder Punch. I can talk. Okay, and I just want the treetop for the cloud. So I line up the scrap paper. Yeah, I use it this way, so I'm not using it as much. Pop that out. Throw that aside. Set that aside. Okay, now we have our cloud that we're going to use. Okay, so I have here a piece of Whisper White cardstock from Stampin' Up! That measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And again, the dimensions and all the supplies and all that fun stuff will be on my blog. Okay, there's different ways of doing the cloud technique. Okay, for this one what I did is I created sort of like a sunset cloud sky sort of look. So what I did with that one is I used Blackberry Bliss, and get that out of the way so I don't get ink all over it. I used Blackberry Bliss, Blackberry Bliss, Tangerine Tango, and Daffodil Delight ink pads. Okay, and one of our neat little finger daubers. This is nicer to use than a sponge in this particular instance because it gives you more control over what you're doing, and because I want the colors to blend. Like I wanted the ink colors on the finished card to blend into each other, but I don't want to get, say, daffodil yellow and I don't want to mix the ink pads up themselves. So what I did is I squeezed the ink pad, and then when I open it, I've got ink on the top of the tray so that I'm not sponging on the ink pad itself. Okay, so set that there so you can see what I'm doing. And then I just take this little cloud punch out that I've got. And the neatest trick and the best way to get the effect with this is to randomize the clouds, which I have a little bit of trouble randomizing the clouds because apparently I'm more pattern driven than I realized I was. So we just sponge around. And I'm going to try to be more random with this one to give a little bit more what I'm looking for here. Let's go a little bit, whoops, go a little bit lower. And it doesn't take a lot to create this effect. See? So that's the yellow. That's the Daffodil Delight. Now I'm going to take the Tangelo twist, and I'm not cleaning the dauber in between because I want the colors to mix up on the dauber, but again I don't want them to mix up on the ink pads. So I give the ink pad a squeeze so that I've got the ink in the lid. It's going really, really light here because I want it to blend up into the orange. Hopefully this isn't making the camera jump around too much. It's a little rough spot. There we go. And if you start on the cloud instead of on the paper, you'll avoid getting really, really dark marks. Which I sometimes forget. But it's live and learn. It's a homemade card, so, you know, we're not factory producing, so some little glitches are, gives it character, I think. Okay, so we've got the orange layer. I'm trying not to make them too uniform, but I might be overthinking that, so I'm just going to go with it. And as you're making yours, you can make adjustments, but like you can see, it doesn't take a huge amount of time. It's a fairly, I don't know if mass producing these would be very much fun, but it creates a really, really nice card, a nice effect. Start on the cloud. Up. There, so that's the orange. Okay, so now we've got the blackberry bliss. I keep wanting to change the name of it. Need more coffee. Caffeine stat. So I'm going to start this one here. And this is a little bit darker, so you want to be careful with your darker color to make sure you start on the cloud, otherwise you're going to wind up with big purple blotches. Which I did. When I caution people about things in my classes and on my videos, understand and know with absolute certainty that I'm saying that because I've done it. Probably 2 or 3 times, knowing myself. See, I got a bit of a smudge there. I'll probably cover it up here. Yeah, there, I blended it in good. Put this one over here. Like that. This is the longest part, and I don't want to like talk your ears off completely, but I don't want to have complete dead air either at the same time. So there. So now we have our sunset-ish sky frame. What you could do if you wanted to would be a sponge along the outside edges of it, and I didn't on mine because I sort of like the clean look that it had with it. Oh, yep, and around the corners of it. So this is the corner rounder from the Project Life collection at Stampin' Up. And a lot of people have some issues with these ones because they're a little, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. What I do is I line it up so it's nice and tight, and then I get a nice clean corner. You can't just grab it and go, you have to actually stop for a second, which is nice. I like things that make me stop and pay attention. We rush through too many things in life sometimes, I think. There's my soapbox moment for the day. Put that away. Okay, so now we have that. And what I'm going to do next is, this is the labels punch. And I didn't have the page. Yep, this is called the word window punch. It's on page 166. Again, I'll have it all labeled up. This comes in really handy because it creates a hole that's pretty much exactly the same width or diameter as our Stampin' Up! Dimensionals are. So what I do is I put it so that the card goes right to the back from the top. I line it up, line the side of the card up with the side edge of the card stock, maybe go in a little tiny bit, and I punch it out. Okay, and then I just go down, and I see how I'm overlapping, so the holes are overlapped a little bit. And I punch it again. And if you want a nice clean edge, make sure there's a fair amount of over. It takes a few extra steps, but it gives you a much nicer cut. And then line up the edge of the paper there so it's level. And now we have this beautiful slot in the front of our cardstock that is the perfect diameter for our Stampin' Up! Dimensionals to go through. Set that over there. The reason I did that first is now I know exactly where the plane's going to be on my card front, so I can stamp my sentiment in the bottom corner. And I'm a little OCD, so I like to line things up. Usually I'll use my Stamp-O-Majig for this, but I've got everything set up for a class I'm doing someplace else, and it's packed up nice and neat in with that stuff for that class, and I don't want to take everything out, so I'm gonna eyeball this. So this goes right there. You want to do the sentiment stamp before you put on the dimensionals and before you attach the plane to this card. Otherwise, stamping it's really not going to be fun. It's not going to. Okay. To attach the plane, I'm doing and ah. To attach the plane to get the spinner card effect now, we are going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. I love using mine. I use every last little crumb of them. And 2 pennies. Okay. I'm in Canada, so pennies are very hard to come by because we don't have pennies. These are not currency in Canada anymore. They're wonderful for craft projects, and probably it was illegal to use them for craft projects when they were money, but now they're not. They're harder to find. I found these in my husband's penny jar. Shh, don't tell him. If you're watching this from the United States, you can use American pennies. If you're watching this from Canada and you can't find any pennies, it'll make it a little bit more expensive card, but you could use dimes or nickels or slugs. I'm not sure. When I first found this technique, I used pennies, so that's what I'm sticking with right now. Okay, so we take our plane, and we are going to attach a penny to the plane with a dimensional. So, and I found the easiest way to do this was to put the dimensional in the middle of the penny, or ish of the penny, and then peel the sticky off, and then stick the penny to whatever it is you're using for the dimensional, because you want to put it where it's not going to show up on the front of the, like, you don't want the penny to show up on the outside of it because it's going to ruin the effect, and that's going to make it a little bit off center, but it won't be too bad, I don't think. And it's stuck there pretty good. So, okay, so now I put another dimensional on this penny, and this is the magic of it. This is where it gets fun. Turn your card face over, okay, and this fits. If you can see that, I've got my image, which is the plane from the Sky is the Limit set. I attached it to the penny with a dimensional, so you've got a little bit of a gap in there, and then I put another dimensional on the penny. That dimensional fits in that slot just perfectly. Okay, so I peel the backing off that dimensional, and I attach the other penny to it. So now the plane is stuck to the front of the cardstock. Now when you first put it on, it's not going to move back and forth freely because the dimensional, it fits in there, but the little edges of it will run into the card. Okay, but as it moves back and forth, the dimensional gets worn down on the edges and it rounds itself off more. So it'll start moving more freely and more smoothly. Okay, so that's there. Now the trick that we have is we need to put this card, the face on the card. This is Blackberry Bliss cardstock. I cut it 4 1/4. It's 4 1/4 this way by 5 1/2, and I'm folding it. This one, when I made it, it opens up this way. Okay, those I find when people set them down on tables don't work out so well. So this one I've got so it opens and closes more sideways, or more horizontally instead of vertically. Make my bone folder to close that. So this one's going to open this way instead of, I'll show you later. Okay, so now we want to attach this to that, but we can't use, we have to make sure that this is popped up. We can't just use snail on it because it'll stick right flat to it and it makes it hard for that to move. So we'll take dimension. This uses a fair amount of dimensionals because you want to support the hole that's in the center of the card, but you want to make sure the dimensionals are far enough away from that hole that they're not going to actually block it as your pennies or your slugs or whatever you're using for your spacers. There's the word I'm looking for, spacers. You want to make sure the spacers aren't being blocked. And because it's a little bit heavier card front I'm using, and I've only got one left on this sheet, so I'm just going to go, there you go. And that way that sheet's done. Okay, and I peel the backings off of this. Oops, come on. I should find some really cool background music so you guys have something to listen to while I'm rambling on. I love Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. I really do. I've tried other dimensionals from different places, and they've got really nice adhesive. Honestly, I've never had one let go. And to be honest, a couple times I've accidentally put stuff down before it was ready, and I had to pull them apart, and they didn't let go easily. It didn't give up its job. So there. By putting the dimensionals on the back of the cardstock, it puffs it up enough so the plane moves back and forth. Okay, and what I do is I just kind of sit there for a few minutes and go like this with it. And the more you do that, the pennies will wear down the dimensional edges, so it moves more smoothly. Okay, so now you've got a card you can give to somebody, and they can put it like this. Okay, and you can set the plane so it's like that. It's fun. It's a nice conversation piece. It's got a really nice look to it. It's, you know, if you wanted to make it a wow card, you could put a rhinestone or a gem for a morning star or an evening star up in the sky to give it some bling. Okay, I thought about putting some bling on the plane, but with it moving around and fussy cutting it, I was concerned that it would make it too heavy or lopsided, or it would bend the paper with it. But you know, it's a really nice card. It's a nice conversation piece. It's just fun. Everybody that I've given these cards to has just loved them. They've just loved them. They've been completely amazed by them. So there's that. It's a fairly straightforward card. It's really nice wow factor. Okay, hope you like it. Hope you found the video helpful. Again, there's a link in the description at the bottom of this that will have a website address to my blog and all the dimensions, all the supplies, everything that you need to make this fabulous card and everything else that you need for card making and paper crafting will be linked in there. Have a great day. Fun playing. Keep crafting, friends.